Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So for today, as usual, let's just go over the market, see what happened today. Bit of a brutal day today, of course. You can see a lot of things, of course, in the red, which again, shouldn't be too surprising. Tuesdays, tend to be like this. If Monday's a nice solid green day. So again, it shouldn't be too surprising. Now, guys, I want to quickly show you something. Before we go into this video, I just want to almost do like a small rant. So on yesterday's video, how I was talking about how, I expected to pull back, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's funny because guys, I want to make this very clear. I'm not here, with all due respect, I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about any of that. I'm here just to tell you guys what I see from the charts and what the charts are telling me. Obviously, I'm not going to be always right, but I'm not here to just tell you guys that things are always going to go up. I'm not here to tell you guys any of that bullshit. I'm here to tell you what it is. If it's good news, it's good news. If it's bad news, it's bad news. That's it. Couldn't care less about your positions. Couldn't care less if you wanted to go up or go down. It really does not matter to me what you want and where you want it to go. I don't give a shit. With all due respect, I don't care. I just see what the chart's telling me, and I'll tell you guys what the chart is telling me. Is it right or is it wrong? We'll find out. So and another thing is, whenever you see comments like this, so it's like, 1200 is coming, 1220 this week, book it, 1250 by Thursday, things like that. And it's like, you're a fear monger, a fake bull, just like, no more pullback, forget about it. When you see things like this, like stupid ass comments like this, just like literally just absolutely moronic comments being posted like this, and a lot of them too, not just one, there's like more than half the comments are just this idiocy, you're probably near the top. And I'm not saying this to be rude or something like that. I'm saying this because, guys, I've learned from this myself already. I've experienced this. I went through this exact scenario before, back when I was one of those people that was constantly even though we've not just Tesla specific, just in this case we're using Tesla as an example. We ran up so much, but then it's like, even though we're all the way up here already, from down here, I'm still screaming, no, to the moon, all-time highs by this week, 1300. This, I've been that person before, and I felt the pain before, and I've got bagged before, several times actually too, and I've learned my lesson. Usually when there's that much euphoria and there's people just spitting out bullshit like that nonstop about how we're apparently going to all-time highs and apparently the train doesn't stop, we only go up, no such thing as pulling back, you're probably about to pull back and you're probably near the top. Not financial advice, take that as you will. That's what I've learned personally from my mistakes and from the past, so I'm using that currently in the present, and so far it seems to be correct. Obviously, I thought it'll pull back sooner than later, but the point is that at some point I think it will. And today was definitely one of those days, down 5%. Now, the good news is the fact that I don't think this move on Tesla today, even though it's a big one, almost 5% down, it's a fair amount of movement downwards. But I don't think it's specifically like Tesla. I don't think it's like Tesla's fault or something was wrong with Tesla, right? Nothing to do with that. It's just a market thing, because the QQQ is down 2.22% and Tesla's down pretty much times to that, right? Give or take, slightly more, but not too crazy, which essentially means that, most of this move, not all of it, of course, but most of this move is just market related. Some of it is probably, of course, Shanghai related. The factory still closed, probably reopening next week at this point, which of course isn't great news, obviously. But, the good news is the fact that the large majority of this move isn't just like Tesla or something wrong with Tesla or something went bad with Tesla. It's just the market. The market is just pulling back because of Fed, because of fears, tapering fears, all that stuff, hiking fears. There's new fears instilled today. And again, guys, we'll go over what I see coming for the rest of this week and potentially into next week. Now, again, good news and bad news. There's going to be more bad news than good news. And why? Well, because we're still all the way up here. Again, if you're going to be writing comments about oh man, this is just a small pullback, we're going to be all the way up here by the end of this week, man, you're going to get fucking decimated in this market. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to be back holding left and right. That's all I'm going to say. Good luck. That's all I'm going to say. Just good luck. Now, so Tesla obviously got rejected at the top of this channel, you can see here, right? From the all-time highs to this channel, right? So a little bit of a downward channel that we're currently in. So it did get rejected here. Now, pretty much, okay, so the bull side, what's the bull case look like? What's the scenario that the bulls want to see to truly actually potentially push for 1200 or even all-time highs? Yeah, it's still possible, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying, I don't think the chances are as high as most people think it is. Also, by the way, catalysts don't have as much impact on the stock price short term as you think it does. Long term, of course. Short term, no. And when I'm saying Tesla's going to go down, I'm not being a bear on Tesla as a company. I'm being a bear on the current movement of the stock price. Short term. I'm a bull on the Tesla, on the company. Huge bull, actually, a massive bull, insane bull. The stock price itself specifically, I am currently a bear. And the reason I'm a bear is because it just ran up way too much. It's just way too euphoric. There's way too much people screaming euphoric bullshit, and I really do think it's going to run down. So now, in this, regardless though, what is the case if it somehow is going to skyrocket back up once again? Which again, it is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. I just don't think the chances are in his favor. But nonetheless, what's the chances? What do you need to see? Number one, you want to see a break above 1050, like a nice solid break above 1050, which will in turn also break above this red line that we are getting rejected twice today. Actually, we got rejected twice, yesterday and today. You can see here we went to 1052 actually, but essentially you want to see a break above like 1050 to 1052. You want to see this break, you want to see it hold. In this case today, it went up and it got rejected pretty fast. It got smacked down like quite fast. Let's just go to the 5 minute. You can see all the way up here, it shoved up super fast on decent volume too, actually not bad volume at all, and as it shot up, it shot back down. So yeah, there's an insane amount of resistance up here. It's gonna be extremely difficult, especially because I'm surprised at this point that the buyers haven't been exhausted, but at some point the buyers will be exhausted. You can't just keep buying and buying and buying. Eventually it's going to stop, and eventually the sellers will outweigh the buyers on any stock, not just Tesla, any stock. People need to stop freaking out that I'm bearish on Tesla. Any stock, it happens to anything, not just Tesla, right? The buyers eventually will get out pressured by the sellers. That's just going to happen at some point or another. It will happen. And it's currently happening. It happened here, and now it's happening here. But I think this is going to be the final stretch. Now, again, if it pushes above 1052, then we can start looking towards 1200, assuming it doesn't just casually drop back under 1050 within like, minutes or even like 20 minutes or something like that. It just, maintains the hold over. And then after 1200, we'll revisit it again, but essentially a break above 1200 will then have us retest all-time highs, which is like that 1240-ish range. However, on the flip side, what do the bears want to see? The bears want to see, they still want to see a nice solid drop below this 1070 to like 1067 area. This is still like this area, huge support around this general vicinity. The bears want to see this drop for the gap fill. Now, will that happen this week? Honestly, I'll be surprised if it does. Now, personally, what I'm predicting to happen this week, and I said this yesterday, I said this, I think yesterday or the day before, my prediction, and so far it's actually coming to fruition, is the fact that I expect a head and shoulders pattern to form. This is the shoulder, the head is clearly formed. Now that we're back under 1115, I expect consolidation similar to this right here again. I expect essentially a replica of this right here now. Not the exact same thing, but essentially I expect this to go sideways for the next couple of days. Probably tomorrow and Thursday is my guess. And then Friday, potentially Friday, if not Friday, most likely early next week, I expect a move to the downside. So I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe drop a bit more, and then maybe like, the later part of Wednesday or Thursday, we kind of run back up to maybe the, 1100 to 1115 area. And then Friday, we start selling off, probably revisit this area. And then Monday, we sell off and start going to the gap fill. Because again, next week, sometime like I think Wednesday or something like that, we have the CPI data coming out. There's usually a lot of fear in the market right before that comes out. And especially if it's bad news, it's going to follow up with even more fear and even more of a sell-off. I'm just going to say that, right? Keep that in mind. That is a very large possibility. So essentially, again, I am expecting consolidation in this area once again, forming the right shoulder. And again, head and shoulder pattern, bearish pattern. I expect the gap fill. Now, I did take a somewhat bullish position actually today. I did make some trades today. Essentially, what I did was I sold puts in the 1040 to 1030 range. Essentially, what that means, and it's a weekly, it's for this Friday. Essentially, what that means is, as long as Tesla doesn't end the day or the week below 1040, and ideally below 1030, which I wouldn't mind if it does, because I want to buy shares there anyways, because I do expect a bounce on this gap fill, like regardless, so I'm not really worried about it. Back holding it down here, like I don't really care, because I expect a bounce, probably back up to like somewhere in this range from this like gap fill, roughly. But essentially what that means is if I don't want to buy the shares, and let's say I just want to take it to premium and that's it, nothing else. Ideally, I want Tesla to finish above 1040 by this Friday, and I make like a couple $1,000 or something like that, or like $1,000 to $1,000 to $2,000. That's essentially the ideal scenario. Even more ideal than that will be if it ends at like 1041. Then not only do I keep the premium and don't get assigned shares, but then I can also just buy them myself, in this range. That's also pretty good too. I wouldn't mind either case. But essentially, I don't think Tesla will end this week below 1040 and especially below 1030. That's my current prediction. If it does, it's fine. I don't mind buying shares around that price anyways for the bounce play. But that's essentially what I'm seeing at the very moment, guys. Again, let's take a look at the quick moving averages. You can see the moving averages. We have the 5 and the 8. So currently we actually bounced today just very slightly off of the 8th moving average. We are below the 5th moving average, but we're still above the 8th, similar to what happened here and here. So essentially, until we break below the 8th as well, and we're below both of the moving averages, which are short-term moving averages, but it kind of just shows momentum essentially. Until we fall below both of them, I still don't think that Tesla's going to drop and collapse yet. So again, regardless, I am expecting somewhat of a sideways consolidation for, you know, the next couple of days, maybe just tomorrow. We'll see what happens, of course. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, I am expecting a drop to the gap fill. So that's essentially like what I'm expecting to happen at some point, whether it's later this week, whether it's next week. I do think it will happen. I don't think some catalysts will change that. I don't think anything major will change that, personally, even though obviously Berlin opening up is fantastic, potentially Cybertruck news. Don't get me wrong, it's all great news, but that's more long term. Short term, it doesn't matter. A lot of people think that catalysts make such a big difference. They really don't. It's not short term. Long term, absolutely, of course. Short term, no one gives, like, it matters and it helps, don't get me wrong, but it's not anywhere near as impactful as people think. A lot of the people and a lot of the reason Tesla's moving is traders, is options, right? There's a lot of calls. You think traders, people that are just in here just for the swing, for the trade, for the quick buck, you think they give a shit? You think they give a flying shit about Berlin, about Austin, about Cybertruck? You think any of them even give a flying fuck about that? They don't. And that's just a cold, hard truth. None of them give a shit. They only care and just to play the momentum that could be potentially off of that news, but they don't actually care about it. The second Tesla shows weakness, they're out. They're taking their profits from this run up, and they're out. That's it. And that's usually where the sell-off starts happening. Traders don't care. They don't give a shit. So keep that in mind, guys. People keep thinking like, oh man, we have Berlin opening this, or sorry, Austin opening, you know, this week, and then we have, you know, the party and everything, potentially Cybertruck news. And don't get me wrong, long term, I'm a huge bull, and I think long term, amazing news. It's going to be amazing, just gorgeous, perfect. Like, you can't get more bullish than that. Short term, somewhat irrelevant. It is what it is. It is what it is. But nonetheless, guys, that's essentially what I'm seeing at the very moment. Another thing I like to look at personally on, like, you know, the 1 hour roughly time frame is the Bollinger Bands. You can see it getting very wide, which means that a big move just happened, which obviously it did. We have essentially 2 in a row, boom, boom. So I'm expecting this to start consolidating as a Bollinger Bands, essentially do what they did here. You can see they got really wide and then they kind of got tight. I'm expecting a very similar concept here. It's wide, it's gonna get tight over the next day or two. And then I expect a move to the downside unless something crazy happens. Who knows? We'll see. On top of that, guys, keep in mind RSI on the daily pointing straight down, right? That's a sign that, you know, potentially we're looking for a trace downwards or consolidation. On top of that, the RSI in the 1 hour, which I also like to look at, is still making the bearish divergence, even though we're still well above any of these levels over here where we were on the stock price, or like pretty much at them or above. The RSI is still making lower lows, even though we're still up here. That's a bearish divergence, which again, to me, is a leading indicator that we are going to be looking for a retracement, at the very least, to the gap fill coming up sometime relatively soon. That's what I'm seeing, guys. Again, if you have issues with that, well, it sucks to suck. That's all I'm going to say. It is what it is. I'm just going to tell you guys what I see. If you don't like it, if you want to cry about it, and if you want to, you know, complain that I'm a bear, hey, by all means, man, the chat, it's all yours, man. Hey, the floor is all yours to complain. Do what you want to do. But that's what I'm seeing. You can either take that as you will, and you can trade off of that, assuming I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, or you can just complain about it and keep thinking Tesla's going to 1800. There's a comment that actually said Tesla's going to 1800 before any pullbacks. I don't know what you're smoking, man, but you need to send me some of that shit, because my God, that is some high quality stuff. But either way, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.